Good evening, folks. It's Frost here, coming at you with the post-game analysis and discussion I was talking about earlier. I actually quite like having to come back to this a little later in the day. It means I've had a better chance at sort of thinking about what happened and how the game played out and what mistakes I made and what I could change about it. Because looking back on that game, I did make quite a few mistakes, and I think if I hadn't made all of them, if I could have gone away and made a couple of them, because I think it's almost impossible to play a flawless game. I may have been able to take the win a lot. I would have taken the win, and I probably would have taken the win easily. The way the game played out has kind of changed how I think about how to build ships. There's certain upgrades that I would kind of disregarded before that I think are actually really important now. So I'm going to repair my ships, get them ready for a fight, and just as I'm doing that, touch on the things that I think are much more important after playing a slightly bigger game that was more involved. The first thing we need to do is we need to repair this ship. There's absolutely no way I'm going to continue playing without this cruiser, so let's spend the 100 purity to get it back. Sorry, the 100 valor. Renown, there we go, it's renown. Now, we still have a debuff. Crew and replacement. This ship won't benefit from your crew, and no experience will be earned from the next battle. This is because the ship was destroyed. There is an upgrade, or is it a skill? It's an upgrade. The advanced savior pods. This upgrade means that there's a 50% chance that when the ship is destroyed, that this effect is not applied. This means we basically have to play a makeup game before we can get this ship back. And from what I understand, this will stack. So if we lose the ship again in the next fight, we will once again have this debuff, and that means we do not get these crew skills, which are pretty important. The ratings, the servitors are really important, and the squadron sergeants are really important. So it kind of sucks to not have these for this next fight. Another skill that came up in that game that I think is now superbly important, sorry, it's an upgrade, is the, where is it? Enhanced Battle Bridge. Continue to use special orders after the deck is destroyed. If you go back and watch the video, one of the first, in fact, the first assault boat wave that gets sent against this ship destroys the deck, which means I have no special orders on the ship for the entire fight. Now, number one, if I'd set fighters to autocast right from the start, I probably would have caught that. But number two, it meant I didn't have rapid fire for the entire game or brace for impact. And I think if this ship had managed to even get off one burst of rapid fire, we would have been able to clear off that other ship and keep going. So this upgrade means that we don't have to worry about a critical hit destroying our bridge, which is pretty great. So I think this is going to be a much higher pick in future over these weaponry ones, which is what I've been heading towards previously. I'm definitely going to have to start looking at extra turrets on my ships, because it's the first time someone's used assault boats against me heavily, and they really did a lot of damage. And I've been using them against people, and they do tons of damage. The other thing I wanted to check, is there a way to... So the one thing that really has hurt me in every game I've played is if I get a generator destroyed crit, I can't do anything. And it shuts down a lot of stuff, and it's been quite frustrating in every game that it's come up, where if I lose the generator, the ship's almost out of the game. And again, this ship lost its generator quite early on. Losing engines is bad too, but there doesn't seem to be a way around that. The only thing that seems to mitigate a crit is that auxiliary battle bridge. So I think that's what I'm going to be aiming to get next on this cruiser, this dictator, is that advanced battle bridge, which means it can continue to be in the fight for longer. Switching to the light cruisers. I made a huge mistake in that game. Again, another huge mistake. I made lots of mistakes in that game. I let one of my cruisers die really, really early on because I wasn't paying too much attention to it. I was too busy trying to micro the dictator. And I could have easily fixed the problem by changing my orders very slightly. I had them set to attack front on, and it meant that... Well, I also jumped really badly. I mean, I jumped him right in front of his ship, and he rammed it. That was just really bad placement. I was too bloodthirsty on trying to get torpedo shots on that ship. Games from now on, I will not jump until I've seen if they can jump or not. And I'll bait them with smaller torpedo barrages until I can see whether or not they have the capability. So I really need to watch where I'm jumping, and that's what I'm going to be doing. I had a conversation with somebody in the comments. I meant to check the name before I made the video, and I forgot, and I'm really sorry. I will check it for next time. About scouting on ships. And my initial plan, when I didn't think that these upgrades were as essential as they are, would be to put a probe on my flagship. So whichever cruiser or battle cruiser would have an active probe. But now I think that I really need to spend these upgrade slots on my big, powerful line ships to keep them in the fight as long as possible. I'm probably going to have to rework my light cruisers. I'm probably going to have to see if I can unfit these macro turret upgrades I've placed on these and replace them with auger upgrades and also the active probability, which means I can see my enemy from further away and I can scout him out if he's hiding and find out what his armaments are, what his makeup is before we get into a fight, because I think that information is really, really important. I'll stop focusing on the negatives now. There were some really cool moments in that fight. It really made me enjoy the game a lot more because it came right down to the wire. Even though I played really badly, it shows that you can make good comebacks. I don't know if that's true for every fight in this game, but it certainly seemed a lot less one-sided than a lot of the fights I've been in up till now, especially against the big Chaos fleet, because I've had games against Chaos where they just run away from you and you can't catch up with them, and it's very difficult to come back into the game when they start bombarding you with their long-range weapons. Something that I've seen people discussing, and I think is a very good call, is if you look at the Sword Frigate, it has 6 turrets. Now that turret's value there is anti-fighter, and Chaos seem to be moving towards a gameplay style where they run lots and lots of carriers and they're launching lots and lots of assault boats at your ships. And we saw how much damage assault boats can do. Now, one of the upgrades that the sword class and the Firestorm can get, let's not ignore the Firestorm, it has the Lance, which I might be switching to, I'm not sure. Also has 6 turrets. The Cobra only has 3, so we're kind of not including it in this discussion. But if I get the extra turrets, that counts as another 3 turrets on these guys, and they have 9 anti-fighter turrets on them. If we look at the Dictator, it has 12. So, and the light cruisers have 9. So this little guy will have as much anti-fighter capability as a light cruiser for a fraction of the cost. I could take 18 worth of it seems to be a very good deal. You could just pair up a light frigate with like an escort ship, yeah, light frigate, that's what they are, with your bigger ships to protect them against fighters. So my original thought was we're going to get the auger boost, but I now think I'm going to go with extra turrets. But what I need to do before I decide that is I need to decide, am I going to use swords or am I going to use firestorms? There is an upgrade, there's a favor for the Imperials. It's the Imperial Navy favor, and it gives them the ability to call in support ships. And the support ship it gives them, unfortunately, is Cobras, because they're cheap, which is a shame, because if this upgrade applied to the Firestorms or the Swords and it called them in, it would be great, but it doesn't do that, sadly. So I think I need to play some games where I try out the Firestorms, just to gain a better opinion of them. They've got a light lance and 1 macro turret, and I think no one can disagree with me that these ships have been very, very good for me. Just they've done wonders for their points cost and not having to really think about them too much compared to the amount of headaches that these other ships have caused me. So for next time, unless a really, really good game comes along, I probably won't upload a video until I've got to my second cruiser out. And that video, I'll probably try out the Firestorm frigate. I know I said this before, and last time I didn't actually end up waiting till I got my second cruiser because that game looked too exciting to pass up, and I'm glad I did record it because it was good. But all I'm going to do right now is spend the Valor to repair these ships, because I need my fleet. We'll probably send in the Great Purity. This is the one ship that managed to jump out. And no, I executed the captain on this one, I believe. Which means we don't have the crew and replacement. Executing the captain, I discovered, means the ship just doesn't gain experience for that fight, rather than you lose all the captain skills, which is good. I was worried that I'd lost everything to keep it into that fight, but it was fine. So anyway, I rambled on for way too long there. There's some things I wanted to touch on that I perhaps didn't. But that's fine. There's plenty of time in the future to talk about stuff. I quite enjoy just thinking about this game and where it's going. And I wanted to add one other thing, whereas if orcs get added to the beta before the game comes out, I will definitely be doing some games as orcs because I'm really excited for their very up close and personal ramming and knife fighting style, which is kind of how I like to play my Imperials as it is. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. Again, if you've got any comments, I'm more than happy to receive them. Have a good evening. Ciao.